everybody, it's Oksana, and today I wanted to show you this fun design that I came up with. It's another top drilled bead design. I know I just recently did a top drilled video, and these beads are pretty easy to get online, so I thought I would maybe make a few more videos because they can be another great way to get started with wire wrapping, because in this design I'm only using one piece of wire. Plus, if you want to add the bead, you have an optional additional like very thin piece of wire that attaches the bead, but you don't need the bead. Still looks good without it. So one, potentially two pieces of wire. I think this is a good basic beginner type of pendant that you can do with a top drilled bead. And I wanted to make this video because in my previous top drilled video I did some weaving on the bail, and so I thought, well, what if somebody is new to weaving or doesn't like weaving? I still want them to be able to wrap a top drilled bead. So then I came up with this design, and this is the one I'm going to be demonstrating. This was sort of my practice one when I was just playing around, and I came up with this design. And then this is me replicating it in this video to show you how I did it. So thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy. So I'm starting out with one piece of 20 gauge wire. This is dead soft round wire in the color gold. So gold color it's called. This is the Artistic Wire brand. So I cut myself one piece. This is probably a little on the long side, but better to have enough than run out of wire. So it's about 15 inches in length, this one little piece here. So the other thing you're gonna need is you're also gonna need a bead that is top drilled. So you see that hole right there? That is what it is. It's just drilled at the very top from front to back. These beads are really easy to find online. There is so many of them on eBay. And one thing I noticed is that they tend to have pretty decent size holes. All the ones that I've purchased, almost all of them have a nice big hole, which allows for two 20 gauge wires to fit in there at one time. So this is a test you're going to want to do, is make sure that two wires can fit through at one time, because that's required for this particular design. All right, so the size of the bead is not important because the wire's not going like around it or anything. It's just at the very top of it, so it doesn't matter how big your bead is. So what we're doing is folding this one piece of wire kind of roughly in half, and I'm trying to straighten it. It's got a little bit of bend in it from just being on that spool, so I basically just grab it with my fingers and just run it through my fingers to try and get it nice and straight, because it has like some little bumps in it. So that's like a little tip if you're finding your wire to be a little bumpy. All right, so this is the middle of it. So what you're gonna need now is, if you have some bail making pliers, if you don't, that's totally fine. You can just grab regular pliers as well, round nose pliers, because what we wanna do is we wanna make a circle. So if you're gonna use regular pliers, I'll just use regular round nose pliers, since not everybody might have the bail making ones. I would just put the wire here down to the bottom so that we're making the biggest circle. So then I'm grabbing the wire here, and I am putting almost like a little dent into it with my nail, and then I'm pushing it against the plier, and again just bending it with my nail so you can see what's happening here. I'm forming that circle, or at least one side of it, and then you just want to do that on the other side. So just try to like meet it up. Here, maybe if I bring it down this way, it'll be easier, but put like a little, almost like a dent into it. You can use your pliers, but I'm always like a little hesitant with coated wire because they can just scratch the coating off. So if you're able to use your nail, that would be easiest. All right, so then once you've done that and you've made a little circle, just hold your little circle and then bring the 2 wires together like this. All right, and then get down here to the end. This is why it was important to make sure the hole of your bead is big enough, because you're going to be putting them through. So what you're left with here is your little circle on the front of your bead. And then you're going to take your little circle and you're going to bend it up with your finger. Just push it up like this. All right, so this is what you have now. And then the wires coming out the back. And then you're going to take these wires. So now we're going to form the bail. So we're taking the wires and we're putting them through the circle like this. That's okay that the circle came out of place. Well, it'll go back in. So pull them through, but not hard. Pull them through really slowly and really gently and carefully, because you want them to stay together, because this is going to be your bail, and you want your bail to, you know, be even, the wires of your bail to be even. So if you have like a little pencil, or you can even use your pinky, as you see me doing here, to shape your bail. Or if you have, let me grab my bail making pliers. If you happen to have bail making pliers, that of course makes things easy, because you can shape around those, but you don't need, you can just any kind of round, like a pen or a pencil is fine as well. So I just squished it this way so that I have a bail for my pendant, and that these wires are nice and together for the bail. All right, here's what we have so far. And what we're gonna do now is we're just gonna separate those 2 wires. So these 2 wires, just very slowly and gently. I like to hold it here at the top so that it doesn't mess up the bail. And I like to just separate them gently like this. All right, so now that they've been separated, so this moves. So what you want to do is just hold it so that it is centered, and then bring these wires to the back. All right. And then here they are. So they're bending back. You can see. Again, just hold everything in place. So I'm taking this one here. So this one here. So it's going to the back. And I'm just bringing it across the back. And then same thing with this other one. I'm bringing it across the back so that they're both going all the way around, and then they return to the front. All right, so let me just pull on them just a little bit. So just like this. And then we're gonna go across. Just pick one of them. So I'm just gonna do this one here on the right. I'm bringing it across, and then I'm making a little loop in it. So just by putting my finger on it and helping it bend, and try to make this loop quite little, and try to make it kind of centered. All right, so like this, little loop, little centered loop. All right, now with this wire, we're gonna bring it kind of up and above that other wire. We're gonna bend it, and we're gonna follow this loop, but we're gonna make a bigger loop. So follow the loop, but make this next loop a little bigger, so there's a bit of a gap. So like this. And then just bring it all the way across and bring it to the back by just, I like to kind of wedge it in between those other wires there. and just bring it to the back. And then this wire, we're just also going to bring it to the back. All right, and then here in the back, so we have this wire and then this wire. I'm bringing them up to the bail. So it's coming, one is coming from this way, it's going this way, and the other one that way. So now we're done. You can see there's a little bit of ends here, like this much, a couple inches. So I'm going to trim and tuck away these wire ends. So what I'm doing is I'm leaving myself just a little bit of space, just a little bit of an end there so I can tuck it away. And then same with this. And then I'm just taking those little wire ends with my pliers and I'm bending them so it makes almost like a little loop. See the little tip of that loops? And then I'm kind of closing that loop up. See it in there? So now the wire end is hidden, the wire is connected and secure. Same with this one. Taking that little wire end, curving it down with my pliers, tucking it down in there, into the, almost like into the gap there. Let's see. There we go. I just wanted to point it a little closer down so it's touching the stone, so that when I close up this loop, kind of just goes down in there. There we go. So all the wires are hidden, nothing's poking out. So now we're just gonna go to the front here, and if anything went out of place, we can adjust it. It wiggles like the tiniest bit, but it's not like, it doesn't dangle on this bail because the wires are going around and they're holding it. I'm just pushing down on this wire here just so it matches the spacing on the other side. So here's what it looks like. Okay, so now I'm going to show you an optional step. I think it looks really cute, but it involves another size of wire. So I think the pendant, you know, is good just as it is. If you just have that, you know, one type of wire, the 20 gauge wire, you can end it there. But if you happen to have some weaving wire, this is some 28 gauge wire, so it's quite thin, then you can add a little bead to it, and I think it looks really cute. This is just some random little bead I found, some kind of like little crystal bead I had laying around, just a teeny one. So just a couple inches of the thin wire, and you slide the bead on, and then you just take your wire and you kind of fold it. Here, let me grab my pliers. All right, so with your pliers, you can kind of help the wire go around the bead so that the bead is just kind of centered on there. And then with your fingers, you can, or with your pliers, you can bend it. So there's already one bend. Let me bend it on the other side as well. All right, so the point of this is just to have a bead at the end like this, because we're going to be attaching it through that same hole in the top drilled bead. So now we're going to try and find that little gap there, that little hole. Might be hard to see. That's a nice thing about this design. I think it covers up that hole good, so you don't have to worry about covering it up with a bead or anything. Like, you can't really see it. What I would do is I would maybe just push down here to try and just open up the space so you can kind of get in there. It depends on how it turned out, like if you have space there or if all the wires are, you know, just really on top of each other there. So I'm just pushing them through, and you can see them coming out the other end. So then when I pull, that little bead is just right there. So I'm just gonna fix, see how there's like a bigger gap here? I'm just gonna very carefully try not to scratch my wire. Fix that, all right. And now you can take your bead and you can fix the position of it as well. There we go, because mine is not perfectly round. Mine is like oval, so I had to kind of center it a little bit. All right, and then here on the back, just pull tight. Make sure your bead isn't loose up there at the front, and then just separate these two wires, one on each side of the bail, and then you just wrap them around these other wires that we have going on there. So if you just grab it and you push it down, see that? It's just going around. And then see the little wrap that got formed? And actually the color of the wire is not even that important. I did get one that's like a golden color, but pretty much the only place you would see it is here on the back, or maybe through your bead, depending on how clear your bead is. And then once you make a few wraps, maybe like 4 or 5 wraps, you can trim it, leave yourself a little end there, and then take that end with your pliers, kind of start curving that in, giving it like a little hook shape, and then just squish it so that it gets tucked away in there. So the wire end is tucked away in there. All right, so that's one side down, and now we just have to do the other side. So the same thing, I don't know why, it's just easier for me to hold it upside down for some reason when I do this side. So just gonna wrap a few times. There we go. All right, that should be good. That bead is not going anywhere. Leaving myself a little tail end. Grabbing that little tail end with my pliers, kind of making like a little hook with it, so that when I press this way, it just goes right down in there. All right. So now it's got a little bead. And that is it. Let me grab another one that I made. This was my practice one when I first came up with the idea. I know the little clasp broke off of my cord necklace, so I just use this cord necklace when I just to show you what things would look like on a necklace. So it just has a different color bead and like a copper color wire, and the bead is a little bigger as well, so you can see that, I mean, the main bead is bigger, but the design still works because it's just right at the top. So anyways, this is what the finished pendant looks like. So I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.